Okay, it's going to be a review of the WWF In Your House, Buried Alive, 1996 pay-per-view. This featured, Undertaker and Mankind in what I believe was the first Buried Alive match. But yeah, I thought this would be a cool way to wrap up October on Halloween with, Undertaker and Mankind on the poster here with Undertaker doing the Carrie tribute. And then at the same time, this almost wraps up the 1996 playlist, which, I love 96. I'm a huge fan of the year, not just because of Shawn, man, but I just think this is an incredible year, just from everybody, from Diesel to Razor, all the way to Sid, to obviously Taker and Mankind, and obviously the rise of Austin, Hunter Hearst Helmsley. You get the debut of The Rock at Survivor Series. I love 1996. So if you haven't seen it yet, check out Survivor Series 96. I definitely think that's up there for, greatest Survivor Series of all time as we transition into Survivor Series season once we get to November. So yeah, man, we're going all the way back to October 20th, 1996. This is from Indianapolis, Indiana, the Market Square Arena. Once again, home of Reggie and the Indiana Pacers. They do an attendance of 9,649 fans. So yeah, not a bad attendance, but at this time, like they're coming off of a Madison Square Garden house show where they did like 6,000, and it raised a lot of red flags. Like it was a serious ego check, I think, for Vince. They lost syndication in New York City, but they rebounded well. They hit a home run with Survivor Series, giving Sid the main event spot. They laid the groundwork on this show, and the rest is history. So let's get down to the In Your House. So Shawn actually is in the main event on the actual show, but it's actually a dark match. So they stopped doing the free-for-all matches and they started having like dark matches after the In Your House was over. I don't mind that format. I think Ring of Honor kind of did the same thing when they did the 2-hour shows. You put the stuff that's going to be on pay-per-view first, so you can maximize that hot crowd, and then you save the dark matches at the end, because who cares? No one's going to see these matches unless you get to see them on shitty YouTube quality, or they release the best of HBK unreleased matches DVD. So I was pretty cool with the way they did it here. Shawn, said he had the night off, but technically he really didn't. He wrestles Goldust in the main event, which is on YouTube if you haven't seen it. And I will review it and talk about the match when we get to the main event. But let's get right down to it. We got Stone Cold Steve Austin taking on Triple H, Hunter Hearst Helmsley in the opening match right here. Good match. I just think there's a lot of things taken away from it. JR was a heel at this time. If you remember, he was really angry with Vince. Vince had fired him on several occasions, and he just thought he was unappreciated, and his audio was actually drowned out here. So this is actually a worked technical difficulty spot with the Jim Ross's audio just sounding like he's underwater. I mean, there were certain parts where it sounded cool, but for the most part, I would have to agree with Jim. He was miscast. It just took away from the match. I think you could argue that JR made for a good heel, like a complainer, just someone that, thought people should be kissing his ass. But I don't know, man. I just prefer him as a babyface that called matches. And at the same time, you got Mr. Perfect, taken away from this match. He was feuding with Triple H at the time. Austin actually, threw a drink in his face and ruined his suit. So you have Perfect out there getting more chance than Austin and Triple H. So it's just like, wow, like things changed a lot, but at the time it's like, Austin and Triple H are still, becoming, household names. It took a while to get there, but, eventually they did. It was just kind of weird to see Mr. Perfect get more fan support than Austin and Triple H. I mean, most people are going to say like, this is the start of Austin getting babyface pops. Like this was a test to wrestle Triple H here. Apparently he was supposed to wrestle Savio again, but Savio got hurt. There's some other guys that got hurt, like Farouk, Ron Simmons, for this show. So this was not the original card. So, but hey, man, I thought Austin and Triple H had a good match. They go 15 minutes. It got time, despite all the distractions. There's moments out there where Austin looked hungry as hell. There's just some phenomenal work rate from Austin. Triple H was technical, no nonsense. They both looked slim. They both looked athletic. I can't say that this is their worst match. It is possible that you can argue that their Survivor Series 2000 match is a little bit weaker than this in terms of the actual work rate. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was good stuff. Once Austin got Triple H back into the ring, he got the finish with a stunner. The stunner got a good pop, and yeah, we're off to the races, man. It was a good test, and yeah, I mean, it really is technically a heel versus heel match, but you know. You could kind of, I think in some ways you could kind of tell Vince was kind of testing the waters where, is this guy really going to work as a babyface? Because I'm sure a lot of people had doubts, for someone that's that hard and that anti-establishment to connect with everybody. All right, so next up we have Owen Hart and the British Bulldog defending the tag team titles against the Smoking Guns. Man, I gotta say, I'm disappointed with Owen and British Bulldog and this tag team. Every time you see these matches on the card, you're like, wow, all right, this is gonna be great. Like, this is gonna be cool. But yeah, it almost felt like they wrestled down to the level of the Smoking Guns. So yeah, but at the same time, there's a lot of booking issues here. Billy Gunn is trying to appease Sonny. Sonny's watching from backstage, and he's clearly more focused on, trying to win over Sonny than win the tag team titles. And, Bart Gunn's trying to keep him in line. But, it was just a short and sweet match. I can't say it ever got going. It's just not a great showing from Owen and Davey as a tag team. The ending is pretty cool, though. Smoking Guns are going for their finish, and Bulldog actually takes Bart, gets him out of the way. That enables Owen to hit the spinning heel kick on Billy to retain the tag team titles. But yeah, it's funny. I forgot how obsessed Billy Gunn became over Sonny, how heartbroken he was over Sonny. But Sonny had her eyes on Owen and British Bulldog. I can't remember if that materialized into Sonny ever managing them. I don't think she did, but we're going to move on to the next match. Next up, we got Marc Mero with Sable taking on Goldust with Marlena. So once again, that's probably one of the more underrated things about '96. I felt like the women at the time, especially Sonny, no doubt about it, it's Sonny. But Terry Runnels is Marlena, and Sable. Sable in '96 is nowhere near, Sable in '98. In terms of star power and popularity. But I do feel, especially with Sonny, and to agree, Marlena, like the women definitely had a lot more depth, I think, in '96 than, almost any other year, at least from like a managerial standpoint. But yeah, Wildman Marc Mero taking on Goldust. So Goldust actually wrestles twice on the show. Yeah, I thought this was good, man. This was good stuff. I mean, Marc Mero gets trashed by Bruce Pritchard and a lot of other people for not knowing how to work and being disappointing because he was making too much money at first. But hey, man, I thought he was a great athlete here. He took chances. He was clearly taking the kind of risks that can cause severe knee injuries or ankle injuries. But yeah, he busted his ass here. I thought him and Goldust had a good match. I will say though, I think Goldust started slowing down. When you look at late '96, definitely not as crisp as the Goldust from Survivor Series '95, where it was just like, wow, this dude is good, man. He's unique, and he's going to get this good push. So I definitely think conditioning was kind of playing a part in Goldust slowing down a little bit. Mr. Perfect is actually doing commentary during the match. He wants to get a shot at the Intercontinental title, wants to prove that he still has it. Jerry Lawler said to him, like, I bet you're throwing 75 as opposed to 80 on the fastball, and that pisses, Mr. Perfect off. But, yeah, Triple H comes out. He gets in Perfect's face. So yeah, at the time here, it looks like Triple H and Perfect are against each other. But I think this is how it played out. I really believe Perfect actually turned on Marc Mero. And that's how Triple H won his first Intercontinental Championship. I believe that's how it actually played out. They actually put that on the King of Kings DVD because I was trying to research, some stuff with Triple H in Austin for No Mercy '99. But yeah, the Mero's the one that actually dropped the IC title to Triple H on Raw, and Perfect. Once again, Perfect is a natural heel, so he actually helped Triple H win. But at this show right here, you would think that Perfect is trying to endorse Mero, but it really wasn't true. He was just kind of playing him the whole time. But yeah, man, good stuff between Mero and Goldust. Marc Mero did a lot of crazy stuff out there. The finishing sequence, he does a Samoan drop, shooting star press. and retains the Intercontinental title. Vince is selling the Shooting Star Press like you'll only see action like this in the World Wrestling Federation. But hey, man, I thought the match was good. You know, it wasn't great, but you know, big up to Goldust. He's wrestling twice on the same night. All right, so next up we have Psycho Sid taking on Vader. Vader comes out there with Jim Cornette. So this is the #1 contender for Survivor Series. So a lot is on the line here. So yeah, originally they wanted to do the trilogy, an actual trilogy with an arc with Shawn Michaels and Vader. But, you know, after SummerSlam, they just decided it wasn't going to work. So the rumor is that Vader was promised a WWF championship reign. According to Jim Ross, he wasn't promised anything. He just said, we're going to give you an opportunity in the main event spot. And if you can make the best out of it, then who knows? So at the time, Sid was just getting over. Sid was getting hot. Even in the entrance here, Vince is like, oh, look at that reaction for Sid. So yeah, man, people just love Sid. Survivor Series 96, you know, probably the greatest day of his life. Even though Sid, you know, looked pretty bad in the ring, and he looked bad. This wasn't a great night for Sid. You know, obviously he doesn't move very well. You know, him and Vader. You know, I thought it was acceptable. It wasn't as bad as I was led to believe. But yeah, I got to be honest. Like it's funny. Like even though Sid wasn't moving well, and you know the transitions just looked lethargic and just I guess clunky would be the only word for it. It didn't really matter. Like the fans, you know, were going to be into Sid no matter what. And Shawn was actually on commentary. He was trying to build this up like they both have, you know, vicious power bombs. Like who has the better power bomb, Sid or Vader? He just didn't know. But yeah, Sid actually goes over Vader. He fights off the interference from Jim Cornette, and then Shawn Michaels congratulates him, and we could start counting down the days until Sid takes on Shawn at Survivor Series. And then the main event of the pay-per-view, we got The Undertaker taking on Mankind, Mick Foley, with Paul Bearer at his side. This is a buried alive match. So yeah, I thought it was cool, man. This is the first time they've ever done it. You know, some of the vignettes and the you know, segments leading up to this thing were just very well done. I mean, it's pretty cool. You're going to bury someone alive. You know, the original idea from Bruce Pritchard was this was supposed to be in a graveyard. But, you know, thank God they didn't do that. WCW did a graveyard match. I think it was at Bash at the Beach 2000. And, you know, it was awful. Just the way it was lit, just the way it was shot. It was like, you know, watching something in the dark. So who knows if that would have worked. You know, I think, you know, the AJ Undertaker match, the cinematic match, you know, that's probably the closest thing you ever got to seeing something like that, you know, with Undertaker. But this was pretty damn good. I know a lot of people crap on the finish here. And you know, Meltzer crapped on the finish because the fans were throwing trash. But they were throwing trash because the heels got good heat. You know, it had nothing to do with them taking too long to bury Taker. So definitely I don't agree with Meltzer there. I think he misinterpreted that. The match was great, though. This was vintage Undertaker and Mankind. Taker is almost 7 feet tall. He's doing cross bodies off the top rope onto the outside. You know, Foley's taking bumps into the steel barricade with his neck. You know, he's taking steel chair, the steel steps to the head. Taker's actually doing the leg drop and landing on the steel chair, which is, you know, crushing Mankind's you know, face mask. So yeah, man, they did some crazy stuff out there. The funniest part of the match is they actually did like a rolling small package spot by the graveyard, and so I thought that was really, really cool. And they went back to the ring. They were in the ring a lot though. Like this wasn't a match where they're in the crowd or by the graveyard the whole entire match. So it was, you know, a lot of this stuff there was like at least 10 to 12 minutes in the ring. And that was just, you know, vintage Undertaker and Mankind. You know, so I thought it was cool. You know, the fans reacted well when Taker actually chokeslams Foley into the graveyard, and then he shovels him with dirt. And then all of a sudden, as Taker's celebrating or burying Mankind, all of a sudden, Terry Gordy, who's actually dressed up as the Executioner, comes out. I just thought this was kind of weird. You know, this Executioner gimmick. At the time, I just felt like, all right, we're just going to give Taker another bogus gimmick guy the feud with. But apparently Terry Gordy was so well respected that a lot of people just felt like, they owed him a favor, like to give him that one big break. But yeah, I'm not very familiar with Terry Gordy. If anyone knows a lot about his history and why he deserved this spot, I like to know why. But yeah, all the heels come out: Triple H, Bradshaw, Goldust, Mankind, Paul Bear, the Executioner. They throw Taker into the grave, and just pour dirt all over him. It felt like it took forever, but the bottom line is Taker was already in there. There was no coming out of it. I seriously doubt the fans were booing because they thought it took too long. I just thought the heels got good heat, and by the time it was over, you see Taker's glove, just pop out of the grave, and you see lightning. So it's almost identical to the Carrie ending from the movie Carrie. You know what? I saw Carrie. I just don't remember the famous scene that well. I've only seen it once. I think I saw it during the pandemic. But, to be honest with you, what this really reminded me of is actually the movie Masters of the Universe. And not exactly, a hand popping out of the grave, but, that was really the first movie I remember where they roll the credits. And then after the credits are over, you get to see, I think it's Skeletor. It just pops out of the water like he's not dead yet. They kind of, set the tone for a sequel. I don't think they ever made a sequel, but, Masters of the Universe was, Dolph Lundgren's big babyface turn after Rocky IV. I think I've talked about that movie in Survivor Series 94, if anyone remembers, with the Owen Hart. I think the Owen and Bob Backlund Brett stuff. I made an analogy towards that, but yeah, that's what it reminded me of more so than any other movie. So yeah, I thought that was cool. The other movie it kind of reminded me of a little bit was Kill Bill. Uma Thurman actually gets buried alive in Kill Bill. She has to punch her way out of the coffin, and that might be the highlight of the whole Kill Bill series. And then that's the gem of doing a non-linear movie. And then they could show you why Uma was able to do that. They show all the stuff with Pai Mei and how he trained her to punch and punch out of the punch out of the coffin. So yeah, that's probably like the best scene where someone actually literally got buried alive. So yeah, I guess these buried alive matches didn't really work for some people, but yeah, I thought this was cool. I thought it was different. Shawn doesn't get the main event, but in terms of Taker and Mankind, the feud as a whole, I wouldn't say this is their most underrated match. I think the match gets a decent amount of love. It does seem like their King of the Ring match. I think that's probably the most underrated from '96. But it's funny, like the '96 stuff, it's very heavy on story. And the match that people remember the most is when there was really no story at all, which would be the King of the Ring, Hell in a Cell match. But yeah, I think the Buried Alive match, it probably gets the most love out of their '96. It's not a trilogy. It's out of the 4 pay-per-view matches that they had in '96, I think the Buried Alive one probably gets the most attention. I think at the time the Boiler Room Brawl from SummerSlam, that was actually nominated for a Slammy, but out of all their matches, that one didn't age well because of the lighting and everything that went on in the dark. But because of the turn with Paul Bearer, that probably got the most. That probably did get the most love in '96. But yeah, man, I think the Buried Alive match. This is the first time Taker and Mankind. This is the only time the feud got a chance to take credit for the full buy rate, 100,000 buys. So give them credit. So Shawn actually wrestles Goldust in the main event. So the next match after the Buried Alive match is actually the New Rockers taking on the Godwins. I didn't see the match. I don't think the match is actually on tape anywhere. But Foley said that he thought it was ironic how Al Snow is the one to follow. Taker actually popping out of the grave. So that's pretty funny. And then Shawn actually takes on Goldust in the actual main event. It's funny. I think Shawn Michaels and Goldust had a ton of potential. In this match, it's a little bit more of a house show style match. Goldust is, having fun with the Sexy Boy song. There's even a part in the match where Goldust actually looks like he's going to go down on Shawn. More so like eat him out than give him a blowjob, like that type of thing. So, the sexual stuff, it really worked well with the Goldust character. It just kind of baffles me, why this wasn't, a pay-per-view match. I understand why it wasn't on this pay-per-view. I think Shawn wanted to, build up Sid by doing commentary. And the other thing is, I think most people would definitely argue like Shawn felt like he should have been the main event. Like if you're not going to have Shawn in the main event, then you don't even have him on the show. And this is the one match from Shawn's reign where, Shawn Michaels and Goldust probably couldn't follow, Taker and Mankind with this over-the-top stipulation. So, it is what it is. So Shawn and Goldust get the dark match in the main event. It's good, but it doesn't have like your Shawn Michaels, level of intensity for a pay-per-view match in 96. It doesn't have, like, you could just tell he wasn't stressed out at all. Like, there really wasn't that, pay-per-view quality effort that Shawn would give month after month in 96. But, it's on YouTube if you want to see it. I'll post a link. I'll say it's probably like a three-star match if you want to check it out. But yeah, man, we'll just wrap it up right there. That's the In Your House Buried Alive pay-per-view, and I'm out.